From Doom of present day to Doom of 2099 to Null, god of the symbiote's secret plan, to a future power far worse than them all. Only the heroes and villains from multiple chronoverses together can defeat the Dooms and stop them from taking control over all of the worlds. This is the story of Marvel Rivals. In Marvel Rivals, each character has their own story, and each piece of lore included in each story pieces each character together. One by one, you start to see the bigger picture, and the bigger story starts to unfold. One person's story we know a little of so far is that of Doctor Doom, and that's Doctor Doom of present day and Doctor Doom of 2099. Doctor Doom of present day, through messing around with his experiments, led him to meet his counterpart from the year 2099. Through meeting, they both battled and had a merciless clash, which caused a bunch of time stream entanglements. So they had forced countless universes to collide, creating new worlds and crises unknown. So all realities are starting to coexist with each other. And let's talk about what we know of these new universes so far. So far, we know that 4 new chronoverses were created due to time stream entanglement. The first being the techno dystopia of 2099, which we're already aware of in regards to Doom of 2099. That's where he's from. We have Tokyo 2099, the map's characters originating from this 2099 universe, and this is the one that we're probably most familiar with. Moving on to the next chronoverse created, which is that of present day, where evil strikes. So I believe this is where the current set of like Iron Man and certain characters are there from, because where evil strikes, there is currently, in the lore that we'll discuss, New York is being overrun by Dracula and all of his vampires. So could that be in the present day universe? Let's find out a little later. The next chronoverse that has been created is that of the unstable space-time of the Mosaic timeline. So the unstable space-time, this one's an interesting one, because what does fit into this timeline of unstable space? Could it be the intergalactic empire of Wakanda? I don't think so, because I think that's set in 2099. But these universes are merging together, so we'd have to wait and see. And finally, the final chronoverse that was created is the collapsing timeline, where even the gods die. Now this one is very interesting. The gods, even the gods die. Which gods do we know so far? We know of the gods from the intergalactic empire of Wakanda that we have seen in the trailer be used by Doom as like little chess pieces. We know that Null is a god of the symbiotes. He is unleashing a crazy power that we'll go into discussing. So what other gods can die? Let's wait and find out. Next for good note is, where exactly do our characters fit in to this story and lore of Marvel Rivals? So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, each character has their own story and has their own lore, and as you can see on the screen, it can be found in game. Each character has a section of their biography, which is a story that is unlocked, and I believe as the season progresses, we'll unlock more and more of the story to finally understand what's going to happen and what is the big picture and ending of this Doom's Rise story. So starting off with the first character that we're going to be discussing, and we're going to go through every single character's biography, but shortened so that you guys can understand it. Starting off, we have Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. So Bruce Banner developed a special gamma belt to control his transformations and becoming the Hulk. But when the time stream entanglement transformed the Los Diablos missile base into a demonic background, he realized that the best way to fight monsters was to let out the one within, to unleash the Hulk. The Punisher is currently in Tokyo 2099, trying to stop Doom of 2099. We know this because of the wanted posters put up around the map for him. From his lore, it shows that he's close to Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, who is now the leader of the Red Room. Battling against Doctor Doom of 2099, they've agreed to work together in a mission to take him down. Storm is on the island of Krakoa, which is having heavily violent temporal tempest due to the chronal energy which has been generated by the time stream entanglement. Krakoa is the home of the X-Men. Storm is trying to control these tempests, which is the weather, and in doing so, Krakoa and another island called Arakau became one. Storm said that these storms were even more powerful than her contact with the Phoenix Force. She then decides that she would need to tell Professor X to let him know, rather than go with Magneto due to where her morals lie.
Loki sees his chance to take his throne by sending Odin into a deep Odin sleep. Due to the time stream entanglement, the tree of life, Yggdrasil, was bleeding chronovium. The ore of this is time. Loki took some chronovium and had a vision of a future only to see Asgard ruined and overrun. But he saw one future with one surviving realm that was ruled by himself. Loki then decides that he needs Hela's help in order to complete the plan of putting his future at stake by putting his father into a deep Odin sleep, sending Thor into deep unknown space and becoming the ruler of Asgard. Hela takes some chronovium and sees her own future with her own visions, and she advises that she'll help Loki only if he helps bring her visions to reality. Doctor Strange attempted to conduct a spell to protect his reality from the temporal disturbances, but this failed and resulted in him being trapped in the mirror dimension. Strange needed help, and being trapped and disconnected from his physical body, he was worried of what had happened. He then recalled something familiar from the chaos structure and felt a familiar identity belonging to it. He then cried out for help, wailing, "Wanda, it's Stephen Strange. I need your help." Mantis had been captured by the Collector and put up on display in his theme park, but she was able to escape with the help of her fellow captors, Jeff, the Landshark, and PSYLOKKE. She's wanted to know how she got captured by the Collector and reunite with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Rocket, Groot, and Star-Lord are all on Clintar. Star-Lord signed up for a mission to explore it, but crashed the Milano into it. Shuri requested them to search on Clintar. Rocket went off to find parts to fix the ship on his own. He then started to get attacked and ended up being trapped in a room needing help. When the Milano crashed, Groot went on his own way. He was then talking to plants who were part symbiote. Groot saved these plants from a fire, and they helped him locate Rocket. Rocket being trapped, Groot punched through a wall and found Rocket, but Groot then started to be attacked by the black tentacle monsters that attacked Rocket. This was until the plants came to their safety. They both then headed back to the Milano. Star-Lord stayed at the ship while the others two left. The ship was actually disabled by a mysterious force which led it to crashing into Clintar. As he was waiting at the ship, he had to fight off symbiotes, which then took off on their own to the fire in the jungle that Groot stopped. Star-Lord then saw Rocket and Groot running towards the ship. They started to rebuild the ship so it could take off. However, the real reason why the ship crashed from this mysterious force was because it was shot down because of Null, god of the symbiotes, Clintar's Dark King, who now seeks to corrupt Groot's regenerative power in an effect to actually create the ultimate symbiote. Hela is in hell, preparing to gather as much chronovium as possible so that she will be the new ruler of Asgard and of other worlds. Not Loki, even though she agreed to help. Her secret plan and her vision was her seeing her be the leader of Asgard. She's then contacted by one of Null's symbiotes who wanted to seek help in hell. Hela refused and now plans to get Null too. Black Panther recently expanded his reign into the cosmos, creating the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. He is awaiting a sign from Bast to find out if either Doom can be trusted. In the meantime, he is protecting the Empire's chronovium supply and shares its tech with trusted allies such as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. Both Dooms tried to recruit T'Challa, arguing that Wakanda and Latveria weren't so different. However, Black Panther refused, even though both Dooms tried to convince him that he would have control of infinite futures because of the time stream entanglement. He delayed siding with either Doom, but he knew sooner or later he would have to choose a side, as Wakanda could not remain neutral when so much was at stake. Shuri advised her brother that the Doom of 2099 could not have caused the time stream entanglement. Doom of 2099 just wants to master all of the worlds now. Shuri also showed different locations being destroyed by Doom bots, a futuristic version of San Francisco, the Savage Land, Madripoor, different Baxter buildings, and a Hellcarrier. She had certain people ask her to speak to T'Challa about this. Those people was that of Tony Stark and Reed Richards. T'Challa gave Shuri permission to work with Reed and Tony, as they are trying to develop a machine to undo what Doom has done. As T'Challa listened to the Orisha's guidance, he noticed that she sounded different. Was this due to all of the violence? Or was another force at work here, bending their voices before T'Challa could perceive them? After an incident with the Winter Soldier, Princess Shuri had confided in T'Challa her long-held belief that Bast was in fact somehow corrupted, just as T'Challa had fought with his own concerns when he spoke to her. T'Challa decided that he'd venture to the land of where the noble spirits dwell, T'Challa, but T'Challa had to find out the truth for himself. And when he arrived, he was shocked to see that there was no one else there, no other souls roaming around, just Bast. While in this spirit land, Bast tried to persuade T'Challa that these people were trying to get in his head, that they were trying to persuade him to betray him, and that they are fools and heretics, and that he has to prove himself. He had to swear that he would only serve Bast, and he would strike down all of those who oppose their cause. In his mind's eyes, T'Challa saw a vision of a heart-shaped herb that would grant Black Panther his enhanced abilities, but instead of its usual gentle purple glow, it now burned a fiery crimson. T'Challa's deepest fears were now confirmed. Bast growled into T'Challa's ear, "Pledge yourself to me." And in that moment, T'Challa ripped off his blindfold, breaking his connection with the goddess. There, in the rippling water in front of him, he saw an image of his goddess warped and twisted, stained red and black, with a repulsive aura beyond anything he had ever felt. He dove into the water and he awoke in his bedchamber in front of the vibranium statue of Bast, whose eyes shone brightly for just a split second. T'Challa in that moment pledged that he would not rest until the Holy Spirit is purged of this darkness. "You have my word." This shows that Bast has been infected and took over by Null, god of the symbiotes. He is the one at work here. He is the true villain. As the ruler of Limbo, Magik has been serving as a general in a timeline, spanning her access through dimensions, battling gods and demons. She frequently confers with her mutant allies on Krakow, discussing the best chances for survival in the wake of the time stream entanglement. Whilst she's in Limbo, a portal opened up, and Wanda entered. She explained that she is gathering allies for the wars due to the time stream entanglement that Doctor Strange made her aware of. Wanda uses chaos magic to show Magik images of the greatest heroes from every dimensions in all of reality, clashing against one another. Wolverine then appears just in time to defeat any malice in the situation. He went to Limbo on a secret rescue mission for a lost mutant to bring them back to Krakow. Wolverine is looking for a kid who doesn't even have a code name yet, but has dimensional warping abilities. He made a portal and got sucked into it, but it stayed open long enough for Logan to enter. Could this mutant with dimension warping abilities be America Chavez? They found the missing child, and Logan used technology to open a portal back to Krakow. Logan, Magik, Wanda, and the child all led through the gate to Krakow. Lunar Snow had saved countless lives and an Atlantean creature when a tsunami was caused near her concert. Her ice powers healed back the nursing tide and healed the beast's injuries, also preventing a war between South Korea and the Atlanteans. When she was trying to heal the creature, NAMOR appeared. He came to thank her. He was a fan of her and said that the people of Talcon had heard her music. When the legions of the night descended upon New York, Iron Man and his fellow Avengers turned their tower into a stronghold. From there, Tony led the effort to unravel the mysteries of Chronovium and to reverse the time stream entanglement. The machine they were trying to create is called Trudy, a future version of T'Challa and Shuri, along with Reed Richards, were the main collaborators, though Peter Parker and some others gave their insights. They would need massive amounts of Chronovium to get the machine built. Trudy stands for the Time Stream Reintegration Device. In the midst of the time stream, this New York City was in the midst of its dawn crisis due to Dracula, and an army of vampires who were always on the lookout to gain entry to the Avengers Tower. Due to Doom controlling the satellites, Tony and Reed had figured out how to speak to each other over landline. During conversation, a Doombot bashed through the wall of the Avengers Tower and tried to chase a squirrel who contained the data for Reed. Squirrel Girl then appeared and took the squirrel home. The Doombot then spoke and said that they knew about Trudy and the help that Tony was getting with Reed and the Wakandians. Victor Von Doom confirms that he created Chronovium. Since the time stream entanglement, Spider-Man has been swinging between two battlefronts. When he's not rallying New York's heroes to fight against ancient forces of darkness, he's busy protecting the web of life and destiny with his fellow web friends in Tokyo 2099. Spider-Zero came to Peter to ask for help with the web of destiny. Cloak and Dagger also came to speak out after this conversation to Peter to say that they were glad he didn't go to Tokyo 2099 as he is needed here in New York against Dracula and his followers. It's them, Cloak and Dagger, Peter and Squirrel Girl as the core three fighting against them. Winter Soldier used to help out, but like most of the Avengers, he's held up in Tony's tower fighting off Doombots and trying to undo what Doom did. This is the same with the Fantastic Four. Peter and Cloak and Dagger were fighting vampires, and then they'd realised that they'd been set up. Peter got trapped as he was trying to escape, but Morbius came to save him. Peter decided there and then to focus on taking down Dracula, and Morbius had a way to get into Dracula's castle. I believe Dracula's castle will be a map revealed soon. During the time stream entanglement, Magneto led the campaign to gather mutants from the planet and transport them decades into the future to the safe haven of Krakow. Whilst he is in the 2099 future of Krakow, he talks to Storm about the situation. At this moment is when Wolverine, the young mutant, Magik and Wanda all walk out of a portal into Krakow. Storm and Magik embraced as if they had not seen each other in years. When Magneto saw Wanda, he gasped, and Wanda took off his helmet and stood in shock. He asked how she was there, as Wanda from Magneto's universe has died, but he was happy to see his daughter again. Wolverine said he was late for a date with Natasha. Natasha, meaning Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, showing that he wants to help with Doom of 2099. Magneto carried a version of Xavier's device Cerebro to look for other mutants. The moment Magneto put on Cerebro, he saw powerful mutants scattered across the multiverse. A telepathic ninja trapped in a strange world, that is PSYLOCKE. A king of the seas preparing to strike an unsuspecting surface world, that is NAMOR. A powerful cosmic presence determined to be born in darkness and out of the night sky. I wonder who that could be. Magneto called to these mutants using the words of an old dear friend, Professor X. To me, my X-Men. Since the time stream entanglement, Chaos Magic is one of the few forces holding the threads of reality together. Should her powers fail, she believes the universe will disintegrate, a fate she refuses to allow no matter the cost. When she was meditating, Wanda was contacted by Doctor Strange. Strange had tried to reach out to multiple different sorcerers and Sorcerer Supremes, and she is the only one to talk to him so far. Strange advised that Dracula had got hold of the Darkhold. He wants to find a spell that will let vampires walk in the sunlight and turn all of humanity into prey. They had already used it to imprison New York City into an endless night. They both agreed to stop Dracula and take the Darkhold away from him, but Wanda insisted on getting a new companion to help them, someone who uses the moon as their guiding light. This means that Moon Knight will be there assisting them. Penny Parker and Spider are keeping the people of Tokyo Web World safe, just like her father did before her. But due to the time stream entanglement, Penny and Spider have detected trembles to the protection of the Web of Life, and Destiny, and all of the countless realities it connects. Penny ran some tests on the Chronovium, and its experiments came back as it being crystallized time. Penny spotted Spider-Zero writing notes about the Chronovium and sending it through portals to her past self and to others. After decades of simmering tension, Namor has finally decided that the time is right to strike at the surface world. He has sought the aid of his mutant allies living in the future on Krakow to aid him as he sets his sight on a new prize, Jeju Island. Namor paid a visit to Krakow and was greeted by Storm, Magik, and Magneto upon arrival. Namor mentioned Xavier's delusions of coexisting, which angered Storm. Just before Namor left, Magneto advised that he would not allow a mutant to commit genocide against the humans, and Namor would be wise to listen. When the time stream entanglement struck, Adam Warlock reflexively shielded himself in a protective cocoon. When he finally emerged, his cosmic senses identified Null's impending threat. Travelling to Clintar, Adam encountered the Guardians of the Galaxy and discovered a power even greater than Null's, ready to incinerate the planet and count. When Adam was in his cocoon, he spoke to Odin in Odin's sleep, who warned him of Null. He spoke to a Celestial who told him he would not be alone, and he was protected by a bird with flaming wings that expanded across the cosmos. Could this be Jean Grey's Dark Phoenix protecting him as well? And he spoke to Null himself, who knows of his forthcoming. Captain America was discovered and unfrozen in 2099. At this point, Captain America began battling the threats of tomorrow, including Doom 2099. Now he fights alongside the Avengers to prevent the desperate future he awoken in. And this isn't all we know about Captain America, aka Steve Rogers. We know that he had a part to play in saving and recovering Bucky from the Hydra base. But you may be wondering, who found Captain America? Who unfroze him in 2099? Well, stay tuned for Black Widow's story, in which this is revealed. We also know that he's a favourite with the public due to seeing him spray painted onto the walls of Tokyo 2099, defeating Doom of 2099. Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, is one of the greatest marksmen alive. He may not have any superpowers, but he's been known to take down an entire enemy fleet with nothing more than a quiver full of arrows. But for a time, Clint distanced himself from the Avengers, setting off on a quest for vengeance as the assassin called Ronin. He returned to the fold older and wiser, just in time to infiltrate Hydra's Erebus base and rescue the captured Winter Soldier, who I just previously mentioned was also captured and retrieved by Captain America alongside Hawkeye. After getting captured and displayed as a curiosity at the Collector's theme park, Jeff, the land shark, broke free when the time stream entanglement scrambled reality. Now, his chance to prove he's a hero, one chop at a time. And we know he was also at the Collector's theme park alongside Mantis and PSYLOCKE, so he has the connection and knows those two characters. At Khonshu's behest, Mark Spector doles out righteous vengeance against those from across all timelines that challenge his master, putting him at the odds with everyone from the mystic evils of Doctor Doom to the unknowable alien darkness that threatens mortals and gods alike. I believe this is hidden at Null, god of the symbiotes. When Khonshu called upon Moon Knight to discuss an ever-looming new threat emerging, which is that of vampires, they were both interrupted by Doom. Doom had came to speak to Khonshu and advise him about the vampires and how they could potentially control them
and stop them, and in this he mentions the Darkhold and says that he and Country both know that that's where the vampires originated from, a spell in the Darkhold, which Doom had just been rejected by Doctor Strange, who actually denied him access to the Darkhold, so that's why he came to Khonshu. But Khonshu didn't want anything of this and vanished them from this conversation in this space. And when the conversation was ending, Moon Knight said, "Isn't that Blaine's gig?" To which Khonshu replied, "He is currently unavailable." Psy, aka PSYLOCKE, was ripped from her reality by the time stream entanglement and put on display by the Collector. Alongside newfound allies, Jeff and Mantis, she escaped her cage and learned that other familiar warriors might still be out there. Her new quest is to gather those heroes, end this conflict, and return home to her reality. We know at the end of her story she heard Magneto calling her with "To me, my X-Men." So her plan now will be to follow his voice and find him on Krakow, along with Jeff, her new companion. But who will she also find on Krakow? Logan, who she knew from her own timeline. Logan who didn't speak in her timeline. I wonder how that will go. After the time stream entanglement, things got weird. With all of New York City under attack by the creatures of the night, Squirrel Girl assembled an adorable army to reclaim Central Park from the clutches of Dracula. Here's hoping vampires don't like the taste of squirrel. Squirrel Girl was alerted by other squirrels that there was a giant squirrel found in Central Park, and when she arrived, they weren't lying. It was a giant squirrel, and after talking to it realized it was a giant Asgardian squirrel named Ratatowska. Ratatowska and her wooden horn were from Asgard, but her horn was from the Tree of Life itself, and this horn could kill Dracula for good, piercing him through the heart, ending his eternal darkness and his vampire legion. However, she had been summoned from Asgard by Dracula and Doom. This is so that she wouldn't be able to cause any issues to their plans, and she was taken by them. However, Squirrel Girl was saved by the vampire legion and from Dracula by Moon Knight and Iron Man. But when she left, she wasn't able to save Ratatowska or the rest of her squirrel, companions legion. Only one of the squirrels, Tippy Toes, was able to follow her. From here, Iron Man took them to the Avengers Tower. Whilst displaced in time and fighting in the occult wars, Venom glimpsed the horrific future awaiting this timeline. To prevent that future from happening, Venom knew he only had two options: kill the Dark God Null, or imprison him on Clintar and take his throne. We know that Venom was with Magik. He was trapped by Magik and he escaped his cage. And when speaking to Magik, he knew that he wanted to end Null's reign. But how would he do this? Well, he would need a most powerful sword to do this. And he heard rumors from the other symbiotes of Null's sword, the Necro Sword. But how would he get there? Well, Magik just said, "Wherever you want to go, and I'll open up a portal." So he ended up going to the body of an old Celestial. And as he tried to remove the sword, the Celestial pushed him, or like he got pushed from a force, and ended up going through all the worlds and the timelines and the universe, and ended up on Clintar. And at this moment of him ending up on Clintar, so did Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock opened up from his cocoon, and he said, "I am Adam Warlock." To which he thought that Venom was Null, and Venom advised that he did not want to fight him. He is here to end his reign permanently. But Adam didn't think he would be ending up fighting alongside a creature of such darkness. This was the first time that Venom knew exactly who he was and where he belonged. He would stand on the side of light as long as the faintest glimmer still remained. James Buchanan Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, was captured during an operation to sabotage Hydra Charteris base. The Winter Soldier was subjected to horrific experiments at the hands of Hydra scientists. He was rescued though by Hawkeye and a version of Captain America from the year 2099, who gifted an upgraded arm to his former partner, because he was Captain America's sidekick during World War II. We know that from this Hydra base, Captain America, Hawkeye, and Winter Soldier all then end up in Wakanda, due to Captain America coming from Wakanda through a portal, a futuristic version of Wakanda, to save them. However, from here, we do not know what actually corrupts Winter Soldier, as we've seen on the trailers of him trying to infiltrate Wakanda and find out some information. Thor had suffered greatly since the time stream entanglement. When the All-Father was forced to enter his regenerative Odin sleep, Thor and his brother Loki battled for the throne, and through deceit and trickery, Loki bested his brother, excelling Thor to a distant and dangerous timeline. But from this, Thor was able to escape. Loki, however, knew he would escape, and said, "By escaping you have settled a little dispute I was having. You see, a certain someone who may shortly be joining our conversation did not believe you would escape, and now that you have, she will doubtless see the wisdom of my proposed course of action." As if he had summoned it, a portal opened. Through it, Thor saw the unmistakable landscape of Hell, bleak and dark and endless. Hela's legion of dead were on the march, chronovium glittering in their empty eyes, Hela herself leading them on. Space bent around her, and in the next instant, she had stepped through that exact portal. Black Widow, imbued with super soldier-like treatments that vastly extended her lifespan, she outlived most of her enemies and allies, but her fight still rages on, decades into the future, where she leads the Red Room in its ongoing fight and battle to overthrow the tyrannical doom of 2099. But we know from her story, she had then been in Tokyo 2099, and from this, she'd been on a little special mission for the Resistance, doing some recon, and on this recon, she decided that she will be infiltrating the Tokyo headquarters of Alchemax, because she knew that there was something in here that she had to find, something that would be in there that would give her a new hope, a Mercury asset. This is what she was looking for. But when she was in there, she thought that she could see someone was inside, someone that was trapped in ice. And who did she find? And who did she unleash? It was Captain America. She'd thought that he died during World War II, but then he began to rise to his feet, and the first thing he said was, "Red Skull, where is he?" Dead, about 50 years from now. And Captain America had been brought back to life in 2099. Which is crazy to think that this is what happened. And for the first time in ages, Natasha had been caught by surprise. Not only by the legendary hero in the block of ice, but by the unusual feeling he had inspired within her, something she hadn't felt in decades. The time stream entanglement had caused a great upheaval in a number of magical realms. As wars between the gods begin to rage, Lin Li, aka the immortal Iron Fist, must protect the sanctuary of Kunlun from those who seek to tarnish its majestic splendor. Whilst this time stream entanglement was going on, someone had came in and stole prized possessions. These were weapons that could be used in Kunlun, from the Crane Mother to the Fat Cobra. But who would have stolen these? Well, he was then found to be John Ammon, better known as the Prince of Orphans. He had stole all of these items, and he needed it to help fight in the war. Lin Li did not know anything about this war, so the Prince of Orphans explained that there were many forces fighting for good of all dimensions, including a warrior child who had become a demon queen, which is magic, a jade giant guarding the door to a nuclear purgatory, that is the Hulk, and a red sorceress holding reality together from a mountaintop in Europe. Their numbers were growing even smaller every day. This red sorceress is the Scarlet Witch. Wolverine, aka Logan, splits his time between battling Doom of 2099 and ushering mutants to safety on Krakoa. Even in the far future, Wolverine remains the best there is at what he does. Wolverine had been in partnership and working with Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow. The Black Widow has her whole Red Room and her underground connection of the spy agency, and through this, Wolverine was working with this resistance to help find mutants. But when he was in Tokyo 2099 with Natasha, he had went there to rendezvous with her. They needed to know about someone that was planning hits on major crime organizations. But while he was there waiting at the usual meet-up spot, he wasn't getting any word from Natasha. It was radio silent. And then, all of a sudden, he knew that she probably went to find a top-secret Mercury-level asset, which they had already discussed. So as Logan raced through the back alleys of Tokyo towards the Alchemax Tower, he heard a massive explosion that lit up the night and shook the city's streets. Worried about Natasha's safety, he doubled his pace, but instead of finding the Resistance most elite spy, he instead found himself face to face with one of the most legendary warriors, Steve Rogers. He had came face to face with Captain America. And from here, then Black Widow also came, and they discussed where would they put Captain America, like where could he be, for safety. And Wolverine first did think about bringing him to Krakow with all the other mutants, but then they thought there aren't many places left on this planet that aren't under consistent surveillance. But that thought, what about if he wasn't on this planet? And said, have you ever heard of Wakanda? Which then led to Captain America going to stay in the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, which then falls onto his story with saving Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier and bringing him back to Wakanda. The time stream entanglement struck while Cloak and Dagger were traversing the Dark Force dimension. The pair emerged to find New York under the control of Dracula. They soon joined the heroic resistance fighting against the Empire of Eternal Night. After a standard fight, Cloak was unable to reappear, and Dagger was the one in the main form. Cloak was seeing at the world through Dagger's eyes, and baffled by what happened to them, Dagger sought out the help of a trusted friend, Reed Richards. Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, carried out a bunch of different tests as to what could be, causing this. Could it be the time stream entanglement? Could it be anything that's going on with all of the mess and everything that they are having to deal with? Reed advised them that he has been building this time stream reintegration device, which could undo the damage caused by the time stream entanglement and restore its reality and countless others to its original state. Cloak and Dagger were there, and Dagger asked, do you think it could do the same thing for me and Cloak? In theory, Reed said, the problem is we haven't yet located an adequate source of chronovium to power the TRD, and a failed trial run could set us back months. From this, Reed kept on going, but then they did decide to try and do it to see if it would work. After doing the test, it worked, but it wasn't a permanent work. And they just continued with the way that they were. With that, his cloak folded on itself and he vanished from the Baxter building. He was headed back into the night, ready to take forces of darkness by himself, but never alone. Dagger was now the one inside, and Cloak was the one in the physical form. The final part of this video is the timelines and locations of where each character is. So in Krakow, we have Storm, Magneto, Scarlet Witch, Namor, and MAGIK. So all of these characters are currently, as far as we know, as far as we're aware, are currently in Krakow, the futuristic version of Krakow. We do know towards the end of Namor's story that he is leaving, so I could have put him into the isolated story location and section. However, I left him here just because this is where we last know of his whereabouts in his story, as the same goes for the rest of them. So moving on to New York City. So currently in New York City we have Cloak and Dagger, we have Spider-Man who's there for the fight, we have Iron Man who's there working alongside Reed Richards and the input of Shuri to make the time stream the TRD. We have Squirrel Girl who's just been saved by Iron Man, and we have Moon Knight who's there fighting for Khonshu, protecting New York City against Dracula while Khonshu's off trying to find a Darkhold to use the spell that can actually, stop Dracula and stop all of his vampire legion. So moving on to the isolated story. So this is where all these characters are just on their own, doing their own thing. So this is Iron Fist. We've got Jeff, who's with PSYLOCKE. We don't know their whereabouts right now. We've got Luna Snow. Penny Parker, who is in Spider-Man, the Spider Islands 2099, but she's by herself. We have Mantis. And we have the Hulk. So, yeah, these people are all here. We then have in Wakanda, Black Panther, Hawkeye, Captain America, and Winter Soldier. We do know all of these people are currently in this location, even though Captain America was just in Tokyo 2099. The same with Hawkeye also being there. You could also put Penny Parker in Tokyo 2099, but I thought I'd leave her in her own isolated story because she's on the Spider Islands. Moving on to Clintar, we have Adam Warlock, Venom, Star-Lord, Rocket, and Groot. And the argument could be made to maybe possibly put HELA here, but I think these are the solid ones who are currently on Clintar. We know all of them are here, and we know Venom and Adam Warlock had their interaction. The same with Rocket, Groot, and Star-Lord, who are potentially just about to get involved. And moving on to actual Tokyo 2099, we have Wolverine, because we know he was there with Black Widow, which is where he met Captain America. Black Widow's obviously there because that's where she's been doing a lot of her battles against, trying to get Doom of 2099 defeated, and Punisher, because we know he's also working with Black Widow there to try and stop Doom of 2099. So these are the three that are solid in Tokyo 2099. And moving on to being on Asgard is where I put HELA, Loki, and Thor. And the reason why I put HELA here is because at the end of Thor's story, when we know that Thor has arrived back, he has escaped Loki's plan, we know that HELA walks through the portal at the end, and she is there going to appear on Asgard. So I feel like it's only right to put HELA in this spot with Loki and Thor. So that is the end of this Season 0, the beginning story of Marvel Rivals. We have 2 more lore pages to come out, so this is the first one. So if you have enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like, whatever I've missed. If you think there's anything important that's been missed, please comment down below, let everyone else know, let's have the discussion in the chat. But this is the end of the first Marvel Rivals, the story of Marvel Rivals. Hope you guys enjoyed. I've been Az, I'll see you in the next one.